In this lesson, we will cover how to discuss at what time certain events occur. Please repeat. Repitan todos. ¿A qué hora? Again, otra vez. ¿A qué hora? Make sure that your voice has intonation and that it rises at the end of the question. Again, ¿a qué hora? At what time? Okay, in this next slide you see a replica of your packet, page 18 to be exact, on which you have several questions, and you're supposed to answer those questions about your daily activities. ¿A qué hora? At what time? Example. ¿A qué hora te despiertas? What time do you usually wake up? The answer is, me despierto a las 6 de la mañana. Repitan, me despierto a las 6 de la mañana. So there are actually 3 steps to completing this activity. The first thing that you must do is respond to the question. So for instance, in number 1, you're asked at what time you eat breakfast. On the next slide, as we're about to see, there is a chart on which or from which you will select your items. Let's review these really quickly because all of these will help you or will assist you in answering the questions. Repitan todos. Me desayuno. Tomo desayuno. Both of these expressions mean, in unison, I have breakfast. Very good. Next. Repitan. Me visto. Me visto. Which means, of course, I get dressed. Next. Voy a trabajo. Voy a trabajo. I go to work. Next. Voy a la escuela. I go to school. Next. Almuerzo. Repitan. Almuerzo. Tomo almuerzo. Tomo almuerzo. Each of these means I have lunch. In the right column we have, first, repitan, me ducho, which means I take a shower. Next, tomo una ducha, which also means I take a shower. So when you're answering your questions, you only need to pick one of the 2 options when there are 2 options presented. Next, repitan, ceno, which means I have dinner, or for the eloquent speakers, I dine. Next, me baño, or tomo un baño, I bathe. Next, miro las noticias. De nuevo, again, miro las noticias. I watch the news. And finally, me acuesto. Again, me acuesto, which means I go to bed. We're about to proceed now to the next slide, on which you see the example explained in detail. Let's refer to the example. ¿A qué hora te despiertas? At what time do you usually wake up? Repitan. ¿A qué hora te despiertas? Now the first thing that I did, or that you should do, is go to the chart and select the equivalent of I wake up, which of course in red ink is me despierto. Repitan. Me despierto. After responding to the verb they're asking you about, you then need to indicate the time at which it is done. I varied the ink to be very specific and strategic and methodical. So, a las 6 means at 6 o'clock. Repitan, a las 6. And the third step, after indicating the time at which the action is completed, is to indicate the time of day, be it in the morning, in the afternoon, or of course, in the evening or at night. For 6 a.m., the question or the answer is de la mañana. Repitan, de la mañana. Now let's read the entire sentence together. Repitan, me despierto a las 6 de la mañana. I awake at 6 o'clock in the morning. Here is the first item in your activity, and it questions when you eat breakfast. Repitan, ¿a qué hora te desayunas? ¿A qué hora te desayunas? At what time do you eat breakfast? Again, you should peruse or study the chart to select the proper expression. The answer is ding, 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 ding. Me desayuno or tomo desayuno. You select the one that you prefer. Me desayuno a las 7 de la mañana, which means I eat breakfast at 7 o'clock in the morning. Your other option is to use tomo desayuno. Repitan, tomo desayuno a las 7 de la mañana. I have breakfast at 7 o'clock in the morning. So again, you should choose one of these two as your response. Let's review. Repasemos. Repitan. Repasemos. That means, of course, let's review. To ensure that you answer your questions correctly, let's review how to say at 1 o'clock all the way down to at 12 o'clock. Remember that 1 o'clock is la una. So to say at 1 o'clock, you will say a la una. Repitan. A la una. A las 2. A las 3. A las 4, a las 5, a las 6, a las 7, a las 8, a las 9, a las 10, a las 11, and finally, a las 12. Now, in case you complete your activities at the mid-hour, perhaps at a quarter after or close to the next hour, it's important that you know the following expression. So let's review 12:30. The answer is a las 12:30. Repitan, a las 12:30. So of course, at 1:30 would be a la 1:30. At 5 o'clock would be a las 5:30. 12:15, you have two options. Repitan, a las 12:15. Again, a las 12:15. Please don't pronounce this word Quincy. Remember from our chanting of the sílabas, the syllables, this is kake kikoku 15, as in quinceañera. When a young lady of Hispanic heritage turns 15, she often has a quinceañera or a celebration of her development into a young lady. So this is 15. A las 12:15. Repitan, a las 12:15. So literally you're saying here at 12 or quarter past 12. And many of you question, why is it not 25? Well, 25 is a quarter or a fourth of a dollar of 100 cents. When we deal with time, of course, the rules change. We're dealing with 60 minutes. So a fourth of 60 is 15. For this reason, it is acceptable to say a las 12:15 for 12:15. Okay? And don't confuse cuarto with cuatro, the number 4. Good. Next, 12:45. Repitan. A las y 45. Let's try to say it all together. Repeat after me. A las 12:45. Excelente. Now, when we're getting near the next hour, we have the option to discuss what time it is with the hour plus the number of minutes, or we can skip ahead to the next hour and deduct the number of minutes that we need to pass before the next hour is reached. For instance, 12:45 is only 15 minutes to 1. So the following or the final two items are the equivalent to a quarter until 1, or 15 minutes until 1. Let's repeat. A la 1:15. This literally means at 1 minus 15. Okay? The next option, a la 1:15. A la 1:15. Excelente. This means, of course, at 1 minus a quarter. So, again, 12:45 has 3 ways of being expressed. Just to make sure you remember the third step in this activity, you must indicate again the time of day at which you complete these activities. So, if it's in the morning, you will conclude your sentence with de la mañana. Repitan, de la mañana. Afternoon hours go from 12:01 p.m. usually until 6 p.m. De la tarde. Again, de la tarde. And if your activity occurs in the evening or at night, your sentence will end with de la noche. Repitan, de la noche. De la noche. Let's look at number 2. And this is a final example before you will be left on your own to finish the activity with your neighbor. Número 2. ¿A qué hora te vistes? Repitan. ¿A qué hora te vistes? At what time do you get dressed? Again, peruse the chart. There we are. Me visto is the answer that is correct for number 2. So we need to write, of course, everyone. Remember, letra M mayúscula, capital M, please. Repitan, me visto a las 6:30 de la mañana. So if you don't get dressed at 6:30 a.m., the portion of the sentence that is green will vary on your sentence. If you get ready at 5:30, at 5:45, of course, this is the part that you will change. Everything else should be identical. Every sentence should begin, again, with what you find from the chart. Every sentence should end with the time of day or evening it occurs, a.m. or p.m. And then the middle, which will vary the most, is the actual time that you will insert. Okay? Let's review this one more time, please. Me visto a las 6:30 de la mañana. Thank you for watching.